The sun was setting over the rugged frontier, bathing the barren farm of Tobias Hügel in fading gold. After another backbreaking day, Tobias-30-7, alone, hardened by years of loss, was ready for quiet. But that evening, by his well, destiny arrived in the form of a thin trail of blood glistening in the dust. It wasn't animal blood. It was human. Rifle in hand, Tobias followed the trail around his barn and froze. Rifle in hand, Tobias followed the trail around his barn and froze. There, slumped beside the stone well, lay a young Apache warrior, no older than 20, clutching his bleeding side. Tobias had been raised to fear men like this. The frontier taught its children that Apaches were enemies, wild, ruthless, untrustworthy. But what he saw was not an enemy. It was a man dying of thirst. The stranger's cracked lips moved. "Water," he whispered. Something deep within Tobias stirred. He remembered the drought of 44, when he himself had gone 3 days without a drop to drink, praying for mercy beneath a pitiless sun. He knew that desperation, the kind that stripped away pride, leaving only the will to live. Without another thought, Tobias lowered the bucket. It wasn't the logical choice. It wasn't the safe one, but it was the human one. He drew the water and knelt beside the wounded man, holding the bucket to his lips. The warrior drank greedily, one gulp, then another, then another. With every sip, Tobias felt something thaw inside him, something buried under years of bitterness and solitude. Someone had tried to kill him and they might not be far behind. Someone had tried to kill him and they might not be far behind. The warrior raised a trembling hand toward the horizon, then drew his finger across his throat. Danger, Tobias hesitated. He should send him away. But something within refused. He slung the man's arm over his shoulder and led him toward the root cellar beneath the barn. Before descending, the warrior caught Tobias's wrist, giving a faint smile, one of kinship, not gratitude. Minutes later, the sound of hooves echoed from the ridge. 6 armed riders approached under the last light of dusk, led by Marshal Webb, a man known for justice delivered by gunfire. "Evening, Hügel," Webb said, his cold eyes scanning the yard. "We're trailing a wounded Apache. Blood leads right to your place." Tobias met his gaze, steady but wary. "Ain't seen nobody," but Webb's eyes caught the dark stains near the well. The air tightened. Beneath the floorboards, the warrior hid in silence. One wrong move, one sound, and death would fall on them both. Then something unexpected happened. From below, a voice rose, not in English, but in Apache. A chant, low and haunting, echoing through the boards like a prayer. Webb stiffened, his hand trembling around his pistol. "Good Lord," he muttered. "It's him, who?" Tobias asked. "That's Ayana-san of Chief Takakoda. He's the one who made the peace treaty last spring. Without him, there's no truce between us and the tribes." Tobias blinked. The man he had saved wasn't just anyone. He was the fragile bridge between 2 worlds. "Then why are you hunting him?" Tobias asked. Ayana's weak but steady voice came from the shadows. "Because I was betrayed. Colonel Morrison called for peace, but it was a trap. He was murdered, and they framed me. They need war. They need a scapegoat." Webb's men shifted uneasily. One deputy, Bradley, stepped forward, guilt flickering in his eyes. "Marshal, I've seen settlers with the same rifles that went missing from the armory months ago. Always wondered how they got am." Webb barked an order, but it was too late. Doubt had been planted. The men looked at one another, the truth dawning painfully. The war they'd been promised wasn't about justice. It was about greed. Ayana struggled to his feet, holding out a blood-stained letter, Colonel Morrison's final words. It named the conspirators who profited from conflict, revealing the corruption festering within their own ranks. The deputies read silently, their faces pale under the dying light. The wind shifted. The world felt different, lighter, honest. Then came the sound of more hooves, distant at first, then swelling like thunder. Webb spun, hand on his gun. But out of the dusk emerged 50 Apache riders, torches flickering in the twilight. At their head rode Chief Takakota, tall and solemn, his silver hair tied with eagle feathers. They formed a wide circle around the farm, not in attack, but in protection. Webb raised his pistol toward Tobias. "You called them here," he snarled. Tobias stood tall. "I gave a thirsty man a drink." The words hung in the air, warm and still, dissolving tension like a sunrise through fog. Chief Takakota dismounted and walked slowly toward Tobias. He laid a weathered hand on the farmer's shoulder, a gesture as ancient as forgiveness. Through Ayana's trembling translation, the chief spoke. "My father says, from this day you are brother to our people. You chose mercy when others chose fear." Then, one by one, the Apache riders stepped forward, touching Tobias's hand, a wordless acknowledgement, sacred and human. When the last man stepped back, the chief unwrapped a leather bundle, revealing a ceremonial spear adorned with feathers and beads. "This weapon," Ayana said, "has never left our bloodline. Today, it belongs to you." Tobias took it not as a reward, but as a responsibility. It felt like holding history itself, the weight of forgiveness made real. Night deepened. Webb and his men were disarmed, their corruption laid bare. The letter would reach the capital within days, shattering the lies that had fueled hatred. The fragile peace between settlers and Apache would not only survive, would endure. But for Tobias, the moment's meaning was far simpler. He looked into Ayana's grateful eyes, the chief's calm presence, the quiet dignity of warriors who had once been called enemies, and felt, for the first time, what it meant to belong. Later, people would ask, "Why did you lower your gun? Why save your enemy?" Tobias would always give the same answer: "Because I remembered what it felt like to be thirsty. That was enough." As the Apache riders disappeared into the indigo horizon, Ayana's soft song rose on the wind, a melody of peace carried across the plains. The land that had once known only blood now felt alive again, breathing, as if the earth itself had forgiven. Tobias stood beside his well, the ceremonial spear gleaming faintly in starlight. Around him stretched the same lonely farm, but it no longer felt empty. The wind that brushed his face was warm, gentle like the world exhaling after years of holding its breath. That night, peace didn't come through treaties or armies. It came quietly, with a single act of mercy, a bowl of water shared between strangers. And so, the story of Tobias Hügel became legend. Not because he fought, not because he won, but because, when the world demanded hatred, he chose compassion. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider sharing it. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to light. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated. We'll see you in the next video.